What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about the BLUMHOUSE production company, believe it or not. And the reason why I'm going to be talking about BLUMHOUSE is because the movie The Wolfman releases very soon, starring Christopher Abbott. And I'm actually really excited to watch that movie because I love Christopher Abbott and I think he's an incredibly talented actor. And BLUMHOUSE has made all kinds of movies throughout their production catalog, and some are not very good. I've been a little critical of BLUMHOUSE on this channel previously with some of the slop that they've put out over the years. 2024 was not a good year for them by any means. They put out a lot of less than quality content, but I will say throughout their career, they've put some money into some really great movies as well, despite putting out some stinker projects. And so today I thought I would highlight some of my favorite of Blumhouse's films. So let's get into it right now. So for starters, I'm going to talk about James Wan's Insidious. I've talked about this movie a ton of times on my YouTube channel. I absolutely love this movie, and I think that it's really a testament to how great of a filmmaker that James Wan is. I feel like over the years, my fondness for this movie has grown because of its atmosphere. It does have some of the tropes that you see in a lot of modern horror films. There are jump scares, there's little things like that, but it also has a very distinct style and tone. There's that scene where Patrick Wilson is in The Further, where those people are like standing perfectly still and they move in a really sort of uncanny way. And scenes like that just stick out in my brain as super memorable and things that I never forget over the years. And I absolutely love that movie for that reason. I love the score from Joseph Bishara. It's truly haunting. The performances in the movie are really solid, and it's just a film I revisit at least once or twice a year. Up next is Paranormal Activity 3. Blumhouse is behind a lot of the Paranormal Activity films, but the third Paranormal Activity film, in my opinion, is genuinely a great found footage film. The first movie, I'm not a huge fan of. Even rewatching it, I just feel like it's not nearly as effective as it was when people initially talked about it. The second movie is in about the same vein for me, but the third movie does a lot of really creative and interesting things with the found footage genre, especially in the time period. The way they're using like VHS camcorders. I think all the performances in that movie are really excellent, and it genuinely sent chills up my spine. They did some of the things that you saw in the initial two Paranormal Activity films, but also kind of went an entirely different direction and did some things that I just thought were truly horrifying, and I commend them for that. And it's a found footage movie that I definitely will revisit every couple of years. Up next is Sinister from Scott Derrickson. I actually reviewed this movie not too long ago on a rewatch, I think around Halloween near October last year, and I love this movie. I will say that it has its fair share of flaws, but I think as far as story goes, Ethan Hawke's performance, just the atmosphere of the film, I really appreciate all of that. I really like that it's this author who is like so dead set on writing his next book and is willing as to go as far as to move his family into a house where an entire family was murdered. And I just love how so much of the horror of the movie is this guy watching these old film reels that have terrifying imagery on them. There's something about that that just like unsettles me to my core. And rewatching it this time, I grew an even fonder appreciation for it. And it'll be a horror movie that I recommend to people for years to come. Next is Mike Flanagan's Ouija Origin of Evil. Mike actually has a few films that he's put out through Blumhouse: Ouija Origin of Evil, Hush, and Oculus. I love all three of those movies, but I thought I would talk about Ouija Origin of Evil specifically because I think this is a movie that doesn't really get a fair criticism. A lot of people seem to genuinely dislike this, and it's a prequel to a really awful horror movie. But what I love about this is everything I love about Mike as a filmmaker. It has a really great family drama at its core, but is also genuinely horrifying. There's some imagery in this movie that has not left my brain since the first time that I watched it. And it has some cliches and tropes that exist in the horror genre, but I love that Mike is able to create interesting characters that you want to watch on screen and that you genuinely care for. And I think that's so incredibly important in the horror genre. And that's why of those three movies that I know that he put out with Blumhouse, that is the one that I pick at the forefront. Up next is Damien Chazelle's Whiplash. I bet you did not know that Blumhouse put money into this movie. Yes, this movie is incredible. It's one of my favorite music affiliated movies. I think the performances in it are absolutely exceptional. The way that it just builds anxiety throughout the film, because realistically, it's kind of a horror movie. I mean, it's real life horror. It's someone who dedicates themselves to their craft and is working with someone who is just completely and totally insane, pushing them to the brink. Jazz music is so chaotic and in your face. And what I really love about Whiplash is the tone of the movie matches the feel of really high intensity jazz music. And it's a movie that I think about a lot. It's really incredible that this was early in Damien Chazelle's career. And this movie deserves all the accolades and praise that it's gotten over the years. Up next is Patrick Brice's Creep and Creep 2. Arguably one of my favorite found footage films, the two movies. I love them. They just released the Creep tapes on Shudder recently. I did a full review of that. But I love the original Creep because of the way that the story plays out. It's very mysterious and you're uncertain about who Mark Duplass's character is and what his motivations are. And I love the relationship between his character and Patrick Brice's character. It's genuinely funny in moments. It's very unsettling and disturbing in others. And the second movie just takes the first one and builds on it and does something similar, but in a very different way. And that's what I really respect about Patrick and Mark working together on these projects. I love these movies an awful lot, and I recommend them to virtually everyone. Up next is Jordan Peele's Get Out. And Get Out and Us, I believe, were both produced by BLUMHOUSE in one way or another. But Get Out is truly a masterpiece. It's a movie that I feel like deserved all of its critical acclaim around the time that it was released. Jordan Peele coming from the comedy world and delivering a movie that is so incredibly poignant and thought-provoking, that does horror so well, but also does social commentary very well. And I think that's what made Key and Peele such a brilliant show, is that it was truly hilarious, but it was also very poignant socially and culturally. And I love that Jordan Peele is such an intelligent and funny human being who brings everything that makes him so talented into his films. The performances in this movie are exceptional. I remember seeing it in the theater for the first time and being completely floored by it. It is a movie I absolutely adore and I think deserves all of the accolades that it was given when it was released. Next is M. Night Shyamalan's Split. This is a part of a trilogy of films that exist because of Unbreakable. No one knew when they watched this movie that it was going to be a part of that series, but that's what I loved so much about it. James McAvoy gives one of the best performances of his entire career in this. I love the way that he so seamlessly shifts from personality to personality. As you all are very well aware, I am a huge Anya Taylor-Joy fan. She's one of my favorite actresses of all time, and she delivers a knockout performance in this. I think the chemistry between her and James McAvoy's character is really great. He's menacing, he's horrifying, and it's just truly a suspenseful film that I think even if you haven't seen Unbreakable, you don't need to enjoy it. Up next is the film Happy Death Day. Lately, we have been getting bombarded by a slew of time travel slasher movies, and this one does it very, very well. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but I think the actors all do a really great job at giving these characters a lot of distinct personality. I love how much it dives into the horror comedy area. Like, it really is overblown and silly and fun, and I just really enjoy myself watching this movie. I enjoyed the second one as well. I don't think it's nearly as entertaining or as fun as the first movie is, but I'll watch more of these movies if they get made. There's just something about it that's just really easy to suck yourself into, turn your brain off, and have a good time. Last on the list is going to be the film The Deep House. This is a really cool found footage horror movie about this couple that goes to explore this house that has been covered underwater, and they actually scuba dive to get down there and explore it, and it's haunted. And this movie really took me by surprise because it's very claustrophobic and unsettling, and the atmosphere is really great. But I was just so impressed at the way they were able to pull off some of the scares in this movie and the fact that it's all filmed underwater. Like, it's truly and genuinely terrifying. I really liked the performances a lot, and it's a movie I've watched a couple of times now, and I think my appreciation for it over the years will continue to grow. So those are some of my favorite films that Blumhouse has put out. What are some of yours? Let me know in the comments. This is just a list of some of my favorites, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in the future. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.